So I'll start with this piece of news today. So it has been at about 10 days this news came out. Basically, it's about OpenAI's Daybreak announcement. So it is a cybersecurity program, and it is similar to what Anthropic has with its project Glasswing. So this Daybreak is a way to use the advanced AI models to basically solve software security vulnerabilities. So like conceptually, it is similar to what Anthropic's project Glasswing is going to do, and they're selling it or they're positioning it as a defensive cybersecurity tool. And it's not just a general purpose product. So it has very specific use case. But the key difference between this OpenAI's announcement and Anthropic is in terms of their tone and their openness. So basically, Anthropic has framed their product as a very restrictive form of a restrictive tool, and it like almost like a secretive program. It is tight, and they're saying it is the model behind it is very powerful. I think it is the Mythos model that they have been hyping up. But compared to that, this announcement from OpenAI was quite public and accessible. And in their website also, you can like this is the I think this is one of the screenshots of their website. You can clearly see you can request a vulnerability scan yourself. So it is they're marketing it differently compared to Anthropic. So technically, I don't really understand what is going on behind the scenes. Like how does it? But basically, it will scan the code base and it will try to uncover any kind of exploitable vulnerabilities that the software has. So it will see the risks earlier and it will help the software be more resilient. So this product, I don't think it's really generative AI in that way. It is more of an AI. It uses AI like it is AI, but it is more of a different kind of tool, not really user oriented or public oriented. Mostly, I guess, enterprises. So the yeah, basically that is about Daybreak. One pattern or like one we can notice here is that they are trying to or they are pushing like one of the biggest question or doubt in regarding AI have always been the security vulnerabilities that AI will have and the data privacy or those kind of basically cyber security related concerns. But this AI itself is now being targeted as being able to solve the vulnerability issues you had in your code. So I don't. It seems like I don't know how well it works. I have never tried it, but like the communication or how the opinion people had earlier was that yes, the I can create production level websites or something quite easily, but it may have some security vulnerabilities that the person who wipe coded that thing will not be able to find. But it seems they are also now giving solution to that problem. But I don't know if the code they created in the first place has vulnerabilities. How much can we trust that they will be able to find it? But if they are able to find, then the entire loop is complete, right? So so that is basically the news. Maybe this is also the because people were scared of this tool, at least in terms of in terms of security, but they are also positioning it now as something that also solves the problem of security. So yeah, that is about this news. Do you have any opinions on this?
Okay. So Daybreak is the Glasswing equivalent of OpenAI.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Okay. And about the product, how is it used? trying to understand it. Like I'm trying to understand that thing. So is it a service that OpenAI, or in case of Glasswing, Anthropic, do they provide it themselves, or is like a different product? Okay, so if you have web coded an app, now if you want to check the vulnerability, you can use this different product to check the vulnerability.
It
Or
will
is
be a
it
tool,
inbuilt?
I think. It is a separate tool, most likely.
Okay,
Probably like an application or something.
okay,
Is my guess. I don't actually know.
okay. Because that will be, so it will be like sort of an antivirus software kind of thing. So it's a different tool that can be used to, no, it's not exactly an antivirus, but it's a different software that it's not
Yeah,
integrated within the actual thing that is going to write the code. It's going to be something separate.
but also at the same time, if they have this capacity that there is a model within OpenAI that can do this, then they can also integrate it while the code is being written, right? Once the AI has written the code, it can internally check before it even gives the output, maybe how secure it is, or if there are any exploits in that code, then give the output instead of why does it have to be two separate steps?
Yes.
Maybe like it's one thing that you have to build the entire system first, then then only you'll be able to identify the exploit.
Yes, that
Uh,
is also one of the reasons. Because even I think even when the process is done by a human, the one who writes the code and the one to test this are different persons, different teams, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, depending on the scale of the company.
Okay. Yes. Okay. And also, okay, even if the person is working in single-handed, like on its own, so it will be like two different phases of the project. Like, okay, I have written the code. Now phase two is like, okay, let me just look at the vulnerabilities.
Yeah, again,
Yeah.
testing your code happens like there's the testing of the functionality and testing of the vulnerabilities. Those are different things. Like one is testing if the logic I've written, if the code is working. Other is that if I can bypass or hack the code written. So that is like different kinds of testing.
Okay.
One is more cybersecurity related, one is more product related. Well, I mean, cybersecurity is also the product. It will be depend on the product, but yeah,
And the
the
one is
focus is
the more
different.
core functionality of the
Yeah,
application. Yes.
but yeah, I don't know how open or like if people are using this. I don't think it will be able. I'm sure it's not available through public use like the other models are. Maybe they're starting with enterprise only.
Okay.
Yeah, then you can move to the next news.
Yeah. Yes.
It's about the RAM shortage.
Okay.
So there was already a memory or RAM shortage going on, but now this current news is about NVIDIA and their Rubin platform. So I talked about Rubin once before. It had something to do with physical AI world models and such. So it is a
Yes.
chip used for training those kind of models.
Okay.
Now this Rubin requires LPDDR storage. So which is traditionally used for like everyday gadgets, so smartphone, laptops, TVs, those kinds of devices, consumer gadgets basically use LPDDR memory. So the shortage before was in only or the yeah so the how do you call it, the demand for memory was for the HBM or the high bandwidth memory that are used in data centers. So because of that high bandwidth memory, we had the initial RAM shortage where RAM companies started focusing on HBM instead of LPDDR. So they produced more HBM and less LPDDR, but whatever LPDDR they produce would go to consumer gadgets. Now NVIDIA's Rubin, which is also a chip would be used in data centers, requires or uses LPDDR. So even those LPDDR which were being used in consumer gadgets now have to compete with data centers or companies like Nvidia who are willing to pay much more for the same memory that a consumer gadget company would. So that is why there is a risk of even more further RAM shortages in the future because this like the statistic is that by 2027 alone, Nvidia is going to consume over 6 billion GB of LPDDR memory. So that is more memory that Apple and Samsung combined. So yeah, so there's nothing else here. Basically, just that there's another news regarding how AI companies are gobbling up the demand for memory. So
So
yeah,
that means prices of consumer electronics are going to rise again. So that's the implication here.
that is the yeah,
Okay.
that is the prediction.
Okay. So okay, so
Yeah.
briefly, uh,
Mm.
if you can use, so what, so when was the first time? I think so it was around September or October of last year when
Yeah,
this
that is
news
when
was
it started.
first, yes, that it was when they talked that they're going to shift more of their focus on HBMs.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if you can you look into some AI tools or somewhere else, or maybe even Google search that how has the prices of smartphones changed in the past 6 to 8 months or so?
I mean, from what I've seen online, it has increased actually, but let's see. Let me say in the past 1 year.
No, no, just ask a, okay. It would have been better if they should mention the RAM shortage concept
I think it would
because
understand it.
no, I think it's giving it from a point of view of like technology has improved. So
What is this? Wait a minute.
does it talk about global memory shortage
Globation.
index?
This is not related, but I think the first point is regarding that only.
Okay, yes. I mean, because I had some friends that talk to and friends and colleagues, they have mentioned that uh, they were planning to buy phones, but the prices have increased quite a bit. The phones that
Mm.
were in the 10-15,000 range has gone up to 20-25,000 range and so on. So in India, maybe you talk about in India as well.
Mm. 600% since last year. 440 RAM or RAM.
Okay.
Yeah, so the initial focus was on HBM, high bandwidth memory.
at the end of the sub 10,000 smartphone.
Yeah, but like everything else also has been affected because memory is used everywhere.
Okay.
So, so the prices of like the actual RAM, the RAM sticks, SSDs, those have gone up quite a lot.
Yeah, that is like, okay, so that's been proved like it has really affected those things. Like
Yeah.
consumers are like they have to face the consequences of all of these things. So on
Mm.
the one hand, they have to pay the price of AI for the subscriptions, but now they also have to pay extra for everything else. So
When it comes to news like this, also people keep quoting that there's one quote that some guy, I think in one of those, there's some summit that happened right in Davos. What is it called?
yes, World Economic Forum.
Yeah, so there someone mentioned like in a few years back that you will own nothing and you will be happy, something like that.
Yes,
So basically, like if people cannot buy, if the big tech companies are buying up all the chips, they will have these data centers and stuff. In the future, you can only rent your machine. You will not be able to even buy you'll and own a device. Basically, you'll have to rent compute from them. So like that is kind of like the future people talk about.
yes.
And
I mean, in a way, you can see the way it's gradually changing over time because, for example, it's happening in Microsoft, at least in my laptop. Maybe you might have experienced it as well. Like every now and then, it keeps showing like, okay, your memory is full, like buy cloud storage.
yeah,
And I was not aware, but it automatically, like before it told me that it's full, it automatically whatever file I saved in my desktop, in my PC or laptop, it automatically saved into my cloud. I didn't even know about it, and now it is finished, the free
mm,
tier. Now it's asking me to subscribe, put a subscription into the cloud memory, cloud storage. So how did this happen? Like this is how gradually everything is turning into a subscription. Because so far we normally kept it on laptops, and if we did not have laptops, we bought hard drives. So the difference here was that you had complete ownership about your data.
mm,
Because first of all, ownership, and second of all, privacy. Because your data was with you. Now,
yeah,
if you suppose, what do you say? Okay, like I once I buy a device, it's mine. It's completely mine. The buyer no longer has access to it. Same for the hard drive. And because they do not have any access to it, they also can't look inside what's there. But now that you are renting the cloud storage, you do not have complete access to it 100%. And by the way, I'm not sure. Like suppose I bought extra, but suppose if I do not pay the subscription for the next month, that means my things are locked up there. I can't access my own things anymore.
yeah. I
I don't
think they
know
will
if,
lock it.
yeah. So that's the scariest part. Like, what's the point?
Mm,
Like now I can't access my own things. So that's the step-by-step evolution of owning nothing. And that's the thing.
yeah, in that
So
sense, like cloud storage subscriptions is like the most scariest one because once you've used up the storage and your stuff is there, you are
yes,
like forced to continue.
yes, that's why I have never done it, and I will never do it. Like no matter what happens, I will never get into this thing. Like mm, yes, you know what? I have talked about this previously a lot, like
Yeah,
how
just
we are
what
getting.
1 minute.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. So yes, as I was saying, I would never get into this thing. I will never like get They can't trick me into doing this. That's what I'm saying. Because it's completely unnecessary. First of all, if you need storage, you can definitely store it in your own device or buy hard drives. That's what hard drives are for, external hard drives. And locking out is one thing, and the second thing is privacy, which like they will use your data for whatever purposes. Again, so those are the kind of things that's going on. And I think this trend is definitely might play a role into it. So who knows?
Also, I
And
think because Geo started giving this Google AI
yes,
thing, it also not Google Geo. I think I said Geo, right? Yeah. So
yes,
Geo
yes,
started
it's
giving this
zero.
Google subscription thing for 18 months.
Yes,
That
yes,
also includes cloud storage.
yes,
So without subscription, you have 15 GB, I think. And
yes.
with this subscription, with this free
1 TB,
subscription you're getting now, you're getting 5 TB.
5 TB. Okay.
Yeah, so 15 GB
So
compared to 5 TB is nothing. People are going to inevitably cross the market is going to cross 15 GB.
yes,
And once the free subscription is over, your stuff is
yes,
there in Google with Google. If you want to access it, you'll have to continue.
yes. So that's one thing. Like most people do not realize this thing. Like they are not aware of the technical details about how these things work.
Yeah.
So ultimately, so by the time they realize, it's going to be too late. Like you have to now pay for the subscription.
Mm.
That's going to happen. So it is going to happen ultimately. Because on one way, there is no other, the system is such that there is no other way. I think I have mentioned about these things like cars are also having subscriptions to unlock parts of the hardware of the car. Like if
Yeah.
you want to, it's like you bought a car that has like cooling or heating feature in the seat, but it's locked. You have to buy additional subscription.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you can't use it. So those are the kind of things it's happening. And the way the trend is going, I think eventually it is going to happen. It's going to become full time, this kind of things. Only
Yeah.
going to get,
Okay. Then we move to the next story.
okay.
It's about data center that is being built in Andhra Pradesh. So India, so like of the total data produced in the world, India produces about 20% of them, but only about 3% of it is stored domestically in India. So yeah, so basically they're saying like they will use buzzwords basically to affects national security, sovereignty, etc.
Hmm.
So now they're trying to build data centers in India as well, and it is starting with Andhra Pradesh. From what I know or what I've read in this news, there's two projects going on or planned at least. One is the 1 gigawatt center in Visakhapatnam. It is, I think, built by Google, and Adani is involved somehow. And the second one is a 1.5 gigawatt project by Reliance. So that is just the initial news. The topic of point of question in this article was about the two major problems of building data centers that we have already discussed and seen the documentary also from the data centers built in US. One is the power
Yes,
crisis and the water crisis.
yes,
So data centers consume massive amounts of electricity. I think at least for this project, the government or the projects are building their own solar plants. So they plan to get majority, or I don't know how much, but they are planning to get some of the electricity from their own solar plants. And I think government have given them special licenses to manage their own power. I don't exactly know what that means, but they're basically trying to bypass the public electricity supply, because if anyways I don't know the statistics of the electricity coverage between the West and India, but I probably assume India has, it's not on par with the US most likely, the amount of electricity produced. So if it is completely relying on public supply of electricity, most likely it is going to compete with the consumer electricity as well. And but the biggest hurdle is also water crisis. So data centers, we know, requires millions of liters of water for cooling, and I think India has like 4% of the world's fresh water. So well, I don't not sure if 4% is considered surplus or like is it considered low. I think it is low, but
Maybe. Even I do not have a sense of it.
yeah. But whatever the case may be, whatever was supposed to be used for other purposes, now that same share is also going to be used for their data centers. So I think they are planning on creating more desalination plants, so where they will turn salt water into seawater into fresh water. So yeah, basically, I'm not sure the status of these projects. Is it agreed to start building? Is it in the initial phase or whatever? But before or like once it starts, these two things are going to be a problem, as we've already seen from the cases we have seen from the US. So, but there's nothing else
So,
much else. Yeah,
okay. So resources wise, you had mentioned the two things that are affected are water and electricity. And again, but from a human perspective, the quality of life of people who lives around there. I think indirectly, I think we have talked about before that a like a second order effect of electricity and water usage is that the general public populations who live there, they had less of it. They have less of it. So that's one thing. But again, the noise that comes out of these things, and if it's built around a population, like if it's built around a town or a city where, mm, sorry, what I was going to say is that if it is built around a residential area, then the people who live there they are going to have very, it's going to be very noisy. So it's going to be a very uncomfortable thing. And it's going to be permanent because it's not a temporary thing. It reminds me of something we have experienced when we were living in the tea garden. I forgot the name of that tea garden. It was in Tinsukia. Do you remember?
Mohote
No,
in
in Tinsukia.
Thanai,
No, Digaltaram.
Digaltaram. Okay.
Yes. So there was All India Corporation were drilling a hole there for oil. You may
Mm.
not remember it, but we were only there for a month. But I think I was there only for 1 or 2 weeks there. But they were drilling holes there for oil. And I don't know, I think it's probably a temporary thing, but it was there for a few months. So that noise was constant.
Yeah, yeah, I
Day and
remember.
night, yeah, it was constant. You could hear it every time.
And there was
So
quite a lot of light also at night, if I remember correctly.
yes, exactly. So that's you can see the difference. You can actually imagine. So this gives us a level of imagination of how it might happen. So even so, yes, because of this constant noise, I don't know what this does to the body in the long term. And I think comparatively to data center, it's definitely quite less the experience that we had. So what I was about to say is that I found this on a channel called More Perfect Union. Maybe you could look it up and you can see it's a short video. It's a short, so it will be in the shorts tab. So if you can go to YouTube and look up More Perfect Union.
Moreover,
More Perfect Union. Go to the shorts tab. I don't know. There are, I think, lots of videos. I don't know how old this video is. Yes, this one. Yeah,
this one.
yes. You can scroll back and forth because it's not showing anything.
There's a bad
We're in a phase where
there's a bad crypto bill.
So you can see the noise that it keeps making.
Yeah,
And
so
it
it is
says that,
definitely going to be very annoying.
yes. So it says that this is recorded at midnight and this is situated next to hundreds of residential homes.
Yeah,
So yes, whoever is going to live next to it, it's going to be very, very difficult for them. So it might happen.
yeah. So talking about data centers, the next news is also some similar to that. So basically, the news is about Sophia Space. It had raised 10 million seed round to build orbital data centers. So the idea or the plan is to have some ground testing and software testing done this year. They will take in orbit next year or the year after that or something like that. But yeah, I think we were talking about a few weeks back about what we were talking about. Power,
The energy,
solar,
yes.
yeah, solar energy. So but there is also talk about orbital data centers. From what I understand, what this one does differently is they have this thing called a tile, so which is like
Okay.
a 1 meter square, 1 centimeter thick panel, and it has on one side you will have the solar panel, and on the other side you will have the NVIDIA chip. So and they have their own proprietary cooling system and stuff. So they are claiming that it will allow it to be 92% more efficient. I don't know, 92% more efficient. Like it will allow 92% of the generated energy to go straight to computing. So the loss due to heat will be less. And for maintenance, because you cannot really send a human being if anything goes wrong to any of these uh, devices, they have built an AI operating system called SOOS. So that will automatically manage workloads, updates, etc. So I have not searched deep about what this AI assisted operating system is. Maybe I can just have a look now or how it works. Let me see. Space-based edge computing platform. I don't know like how much of it is actually AI rather than just like intelligent automation and stuff.
Yes. Because I think all of those things, all of the probes and the rovers that NASA sends, they might have some sort of basic operating system anyways.
Yeah.
So
Mm, maybe because AI, using the term AI is the trend now, they have used it, but essentially I don't
yes,
know if it is using though the kind of models we think of when we think of AI.
yes. Even I don't think so because
Yeah, because
to
the
an
use case is also
extent,
different.
yeah. I mean, because to an extent, anything like most of the things, they might have some sort of operating system kind of thing into it, and it's some kind of software that makes certain levels of decisions in those systems.
Mm.
So what's unique about this? I don't think so. Maybe AI is
Maybe it is
mostly a tier
optimized
here.
for its use
Oh,
case, but yeah.
yes, could be optimized for that use case. Yeah. So this is something new, Sophia Space. So was it founded sooner? When was this founded? Can you just look it up? Before or after November of 2025? I want to know this.
I mean, it may be older,
They might have repurposed this, maybe.
2023.
Okay. building the company focuses on. So did it, can you ask whether that was its original purpose or did it change? What was it initially doing?
Initial product, huh?
Initial product.
Yes, I
Yes,
think they've
then
since beginning they've started working on this style.
just, to run heavy. Wait a minute. I have the hardware software is built specifically run heavy space-based AI. The modular innovation of tile is scalable, multiple tile. Now ask it whether they've been doing it since 2023. And ask it like, are you sure they've been doing it since 2023? They're working on data centers. Because I am so skeptical of AIs. They can gaslight people so nicely. Though there is a small structural nuance. Let's see what's the core technology and vision for the company were first formed and incubated in 2023 under this. Under this is when the fundamental ideas behind tile architecture and the orbital computing platform were conceptualized and developed. Sophia Space officially spun out of incubation 2025. So Sophia Space officially spun out of incubation and announced its formal launch alongside this to ramp up. Uh, okay. So again, now that we have some clarity, it spun out in 2025, not in 2023. Can you go to Google and search this, like it for in Wikipedia or something? There might be some things like Sophia Space, where when was it founded?
It doesn't even have a Wikipedia, I think.
Yeah, it's too young. There is some timeline here. Can you go back? There was a timeline in the Google search results. Yes. Oh, I don't think it's a timeline. It's like
It's an
their
article,
blog.
so yeah,
Yes. Can you go to the and expand the blogs there, the blog section?
this one.
No, I think if you go back where when it was, yes, read more news. Yes. Load more.
I have to keep loading.
Yes. So I don't know. Okay. Yes. Sophia, can you click the first one?
This
Yes.
one.
Yes. Okay, in-orbit computing. Okay, maybe they were doing it before the hype began in 2020, November 2025. Hold. Don't look at it. Okay, so yes, they were doing it. But again, they have started it in 2025, unlike 2023. Yes. I mean, this is the reason why one has to be a bit skeptical when looking at the answers from AI. Because
Hmm.
in first glance, it looked like Uh, because from my common understanding, what it is that around late October or early November 2025, Elon Musk talked about this data centers in space. Since then, this whole idea became mainstream, covered in all media. Before
Hmm.
that, it was probably a very niche topic. So when I heard that they've been working on it since 2023, I was I automatically got skeptical because it's one thing to be doing like informal research into it, not informal, but doing research and building a company is different things because if you are building a company, it has to have a real revenue earning potential. And if it's such a niche thing and it's early 2023, I mean, AI was at a very early stage. So it would have been very unlikely that they have been doing it in 2023. So I was right, like they have been focusing more on it since 2025.
Mm. But it was founded in 2023 is the point.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that's all.
Okay. But I was about to say something. Why did I forget? Is it about data centers? Yes, I was about to talk about SpaceX because in the like I think I had mentioned like SpaceX are planning to undergo an IPO,
Yeah.
and their whole plan was, I think the whole story that they have been developing is that they're going to build again data centers in space, and they are the best positioned for it. So finally, they have finalized it, and now it's official. Like they are going to IPO in June of this year.
Mm.
So I think they are going to raise $75 billion at a valuation of, so I think $1.25 trillion or something. Can you just search it and let's look a little bit.
So short.
When is SpaceX going to IPO?
I don't know why I vanished. June 12th.
Yes. And it'll trade under the ticker symbol SpaceX. The blog post debuted. Okay. So again, 1.75 to $2 trillion valuation. That's so. Can you again ask the following question, like what are they planning to use those funding for? The money that they have raised. Yes, as I've said, they are pitching that thing.
Mm.
They're going to orbital AI infrastructure. That's what they're trying to do here. Because uh, because I recently watched a video where they were talking about SpaceX's revenues, and since it's a private company, they are not obligated to release their revenues. So I think whatever data was mentioned, it was through some leak or some sort of ways which cannot be directly verified. But what they saw was that it's not very um, launching rockets to space is not a very lucrative business. It's not a very high earning business. In fact, SpaceX themselves, for them, it's a very small part of their total percentage of their. I mean, what I mean to say is that out of the total revenue that SpaceX earns, the money that they earn from rocket launches is very small. Most of it comes from the Starlink services. And now that they have actually merged XAI as well, so now that revenue also includes those kind of things. So I think their strategy, what I think is that, okay, maybe SpaceX, like so rocket launches on its own does not create enough value. But the whole point of this merger is to create synergy. I mean, the point of any merger is that the combination of two or more entities will create more value than what they did as separate thing. That's the whole definition of synergy. It's like in anything, in any sports, like the sum of that sum is more than that more than like the contribution of its parts. Like that's the point they're trying to say. It is just because you even in like in sports, like just because you have 11 players in a team doesn't mean they're going to perform well. So there is some synergetic like mind-to-mind connection that creates this extra thing. So I think what they're trying to pitch here is that okay, SpaceX, like the rocket launches, is not profitable on its own. But if we combined data centers and our AI knowledge and everything, I think overall we can create a business that's much more profitable.
Hmm.
And again, as I was saying, like that's, I think I might have mentioned earlier, but that Elon Musk's long-term plan was always to go to Mars, but it doesn't make sense from a business point of view. So for the short term, his goal is this kind of things like, okay, let's like try to make this company a more profitable one by focusing on data centers, and Moon is also in SpaceX's plan. So once they can make SpaceX into a revenue generating, like they still they still generate revenue and profit, but they want to make it better before they focus on Mars. So that's the strategy, I think, from their perspective. So,
Okay, I think we'll have to close now because no, I don't have any charge in my. There's no current
okay,
as well.
okay. So you can end it. Wait, I have to finish.